We're starting today's video with a reminder about safety rules, especially when it comes to water. Remember, don't play around in the water, move carefully, and avoid eating before swimming. And of course, never overload watercraft. It could lead to dangerous consequences for everyone on board, just like in this video. Another so-called fast dropper, who thinks he's part of the elite of the Russian army, decided to show off his skills. But it seems he got tangled not only in the grass, but also in his own incompetence. It's unlikely this was any kind of sabotage mission. He quickly and efficiently detected his failed attempt at camouflage. The gunners began dropping grenades and other explosives to eliminate the target. Due to the concussion-induced movements, it was difficult to confirm whether the enemy was truly neutralized. So, several follow-up strikes were carried out until the drone confirmed a killed-in-action status. To maintain the intensity of assault operations, the Russian command continuously deploys fresh company-level units to the front lines, having wounded over 90% of their authorized strength. Their participation in assaults continues as long as there are still soldiers capable of moving and following orders, quite literally, until the last man standing. Once casualties reach a critical point, the remnants of the company are either wiped out on the spot or withdrawn to the rear, where they are hastily replenished with newly mobilized recruits from deep inside Russia. This grim conveyor of death allows Russian commanders to maintain the illusion of constant pressure, but the cost is staggering. In some cases, it takes less than a week for a fully staffed company to be reduced to just a handful of wounded survivors. The pilots of the border unit Phoenix are not stopping and have no intention of stopping. They're tallying the destroyed Russian military assets. Enemy soldiers are counted among those assets. As we noted earlier, last week proved especially productive. Along the Kupiansk axis, the enemy has been setting ambushes in thicket and open fields, fortifying positions in abandoned buildings, and even sheltering in drainage pipes. Destroying these temporary hideouts may not completely derail enemy plans, but it will certainly delay their operations and force them to revise movement routes and communication methods. Judging by the speed with which personnel are being neutralized, likely ambush sites dismantled and communications from telecom infrastructure to Starlink links put out of action. Any shift in the enemy's plans will not be instantaneous. It will require time and coordinated reorganization, during which Phoenix continues to strike, denying the foe any respite. We stopped an enemy motorcycle assault. The assault group was completely destroyed. Russian forces are increasingly attempting to break through our defensive lines with motorcycle teams of 3 to 5 riders, relying on speed and surprise to push into our rear positions. But this time, their plan failed. The group was stopped thanks to pre-installed engineering barriers set along their route. Once they lost their transport, and with it their speed and maneuverability, the attackers became easy prey for our infantry and strike drone operators who immediately went to work. Their vulnerability was so evident that some of them didn't even try to fight for another minute of life. Others attempted to resist, but shooting at a drone that detonates on contact is a terrible idea. The explosion happens anyway, whether triggered by the charge or the overheating battery. The real danger isn't the blast itself, but the shrapnel, which flies with incredible velocity. Sometimes a fragment smaller than a fingertip can rip off an entire limb. Those who came to a foreign land dreaming of inflicting such wounds on others have now experienced it firsthand, and unsurprisingly there are no smiles left on their faces. Another attempt to break through on two-wheeled vehicles ended in complete and devastating failure. Due to the constant threat from strike drones, the drivers and assault troops were forced to stop, and they had no choice but to halt where they could take cover and return fire, hoping for even the slightest chance of survival. Even then, every movement could be fatal. The distance to cover, the trajectory of incoming fire, A moment's hesitation could determine their fate. What could have saved them? Assault rifles, grenades, termite-type launchers, everything meant to give them an advantage only further mutilated their bodies. Pools of blood left no doubt. The group was fully neutralized with no possibility to retreat or maneuver, and any attempt to continue moving became a deadly risk. Those who tried to flee met the same fate just a moment later. Constant pressure, precise strikes, and the relentless nature of the battlefield made any attempt at survival futile. No rescue, no mercy, no smiles on the faces of those who expected to inflict harm. Only the consequences of their aggression, the harsh reality of combat, and the cold awareness that even the slightest mistake could cost them their lives. In the DET direction, drones from the Zarava group spotted an extraordinary discovery. 2 fully manned T-72 tanks. They were moving toward the positions of the armed forces intended to become a key element for a successful assault. But even an elephant fears a mouse. Small drones were able to completely destroy these tanks by detonating their ammunition, shattering the attackers' plans, and ending any hopes of capturing the targeted positions. And finally, we show how Ukrainian drone operators continue to strike enemy logistics in a variety of ways. From ordinary civilian cars, often used there as disposable transport, to large armored vehicles. The scale and diversity of these strikes steadily undermine the enemy's ability to resupply and move equipment.
Thank you for watching.